All right, hello students. This is 10.5 part 2, graphing square root functions, where we're going to learn how to graph these functions that move left, right, up, or down. And we're also going to talk about the domain, which is the x values and the values that you could plug in. Okay, so just like in the last lesson, we're going to start off with the table, and we're going to start off with the parent function. So remember, our parent function is y equals square root of x. And remember, we're going to do 0, 1, 4, and 9 because those are the perfect square roots. So square root of 0 is 0, square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2, and then square root of 9 is 3. Okay, and then we could go ahead and graph that. So 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2, and then 9, 3. Okay, so that's our parent function. Next, I'm going to graph the one that we're actually trying to graph in pink. So you're going to have x, and then you're going to have y equals square root of x plus 2. So notice, remember we talked about this last time, but notice that you only have square root of x there, so you could plug in the perfect square roots. So 1, 0, 4, and 9. And then you're going to go ahead and plug it in. So this is square root of 0 plus 2. That's going to be 2. Square root of 1 plus 2. So that's square root of 1 is 1 plus the 2. That gives you 3. Square root of 4, which is 2, plus the 2. That gives you 4. Square root of 9 plus the 2 is 3 plus 2, which is 5. So we're going to go ahead and graph this. I should have connected these lines, so we're going to connect the line there. Now we're going to graph the other one. So 0, 2. Okay, then 1, 3. Then 4, 4. Then 9, 5. And then we're going to go ahead and graph that. And this one is square root of x plus 2. And this one is square root of x. Alright, so what do you notice happened from the blue graph to the pink graph? Yeah, it moved up 2 units. So each one of those points moved up 2 units. So okay, and then next let's talk about the domain. So the domain is where your x values start at. And if you look at the graph, we look at the parent function, our domains start here and they move all the way over here. So those are our x values. So our domain would be, remember we talked about interval notation in semester 1, so that's going to be from 0 with the bracket to infinity. Okay, then let's look at the domain for the pink one. What do they start at? They start here and they go all the way to infinity. So our domain for the pink one is going to be the same as the parent function. And again, I'm using a bracket for 0 because I actually was able to plug 0 in. So I used a bracket for 0. All right, next we're going to graph another one. So the next one that we have is y equals square root of x plus 3 and the parent graph. We're going to have to graph the parent function and then state the domain. So let's make our table we already have the table for our parent graph. I'm just going to copy it down. It was 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2, and 9, 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and graph my parent function. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do a table for this function right here. So we're going to say x, y equals square root of x plus 3, k. Well, now inside the square root you have x plus 3. So you want to first start off by thinking, okay, what would give you 0 here? And that would be -3. Okay, then how would you get 1? Well, you would have to plug in -2. How would you get 4? You would have to plug in 1. How would you get 9? You would have to plug in 6. So therefore, when you plug it in, you're going to get the perfect squares. -3 plus 3, that gives you 0. -2 plus 3, that gives you square root of 1, which is 1. 1 plus 3, that gives you 4, which is square root of 4, which is 2. Then you get 6 plus 3, and that gives you square root of 9, which is 3. Okay, so my points are going to be -3, 0, -2, 1, 1, 2, and 6, 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph those. All right, so now let's talk about what happened from the blue graph to the pink graph. So everything moved back or left 3 units. Okay, and then let's talk about the domain. Well, we already know the domain of the parent function. Now let's talk about the domain for y equals square root of x plus 3. Okay, so let's look at the graph. Where do the x values start at? They start here, and then they go all the way to infinity. So our domain is going to be from -3 to infinity. Also, if we go back and look at our chart, remember, that's where our x values started at. So this number, that's where that comes from. All right, this is another way to make your table. So you want to think of your perfect squares. So that's going to be 0, 1, 4, and 9. And then you take the inside of your square root. So in this case, it's going to be x minus 3, and you're going to set them equal to each one of these. Okay, now you're going to solve for x in each one of these. So I'm just going to pick another color. I'm going to add 3. You get x equals 3. Add 3. You get x equals 4. Add 3. You get x equals 7. Add 3. You get x equals 12. So these values right here are the ones that you should be using in your chart. And so that's going to be 3, 4, 7, and 12. And I could easily do that in my head. And once you have more practice, then you should be able to do those in your head. But you could use this method to find those values. And now I could continue graphing this. 3 minus 3, that gives you square root of 0. Remember, we're looking for square root of 0. And then 4 minus 3, that gives you square root of 1. And then 7 minus 3 gives you square root of 4. and that gives you 9. So you're getting integers and not decimals, okay? All right, so this pretty much covers it. So you're gonna, for this lesson, you're gonna want to know how to make a table, find the transformation, so figure out what happened between the parent function and your function, and then state your domain. Those are the 3 concepts that you need to know from this video.